Okay, so as you guys know, next Monday is Family Day, which means there will be no class taking place on next Monday. Okay, as you guys all know, it depends on the faculty's discretion in terms of whether they want to have a makeup class for any canceled class on next Monday. Okay, so watch out. Expect to hear from your faculty members if any of your class falls on to Monday, next Monday, right? You guys have 3 class for animation next Monday, including my class. So as for our class, so as for this class, what we are going to do is we're gonna have asynchronous class, which means there will not be actual Zoom meeting next Monday for this class, but I will be posting all the course content. For example, I will be posting the video lessons for you guys to follow along. Okay, most likely during this coming weekend, I will be posting all the course content for you guys to take a look. Okay. As for I am planning to have a extra class with you guys near the end of the semester in order to give you guys more support and possibly helping you answering any questions or also going over any additional content. Okay, so I'll be definitely let you guys know once that extra class is actually arranged and scheduled. So you guys are fully aware there will be a extra class for this course. Okay? Sounds good? Any question? Okay, sounds good. Make sure that just be aware there will not be any class being held on next Monday. Okay? So maybe a good time for you guys, maybe take a bit of a breather. It's extended longer long weekend for everyone. So all right. That being said, today we will be continue working on our PS2 controller and then getting into more modeling tools, and we're gonna go over some of the new modeling tools that you guys need to be aware as we go along with our project. Just be clearly, you guys just be aware that this very PS2 controller that we are currently modeling will be your first assignment. Okay, so the completed model of this PS2 controller will be the first assignment that I'll be asking everyone to submit. Okay, currently, as of it right now, if you look at the first page of the course shell for Intro to Maya, I already made an announcement saying that the assignment 001 will be due on February 26th, Friday, 11:59 p.m. There may be I may give you some extra days to work on it, depending on how we are actually progressing with this assignment, this PS2 controller. Okay. But I will definitely let you know in advance. Okay, for now, just be aware that this will be the due date for your first assignment. Okay, so today is, let me quickly jump into Maya so you guys can actually take a look right now. So this is where we left off last week. So we actually gone through fine tuning our handler portion of the part of the controller. And then we also worked on this front analog or D-pad part of the controller so far. This is where we left off, and we're gonna pick it up from here. Okay. Okay, so we are a pretty good stage in terms of wrapping out the shape of this part. So this will be the most hardest part in terms of modeling um, the controller here. This has such an unusual shape and direction, how it's actually extruded out. So be aware of that. So I'm kind of taking a look at one of the next thing that we will be adding is if I actually hide X-ray on it, you see there's a huge splitting line that goes down the sides of the controller, and we will be creating this line. Just essentially for now, we will be just creating the flow of topology with this one, so we can actually use it later for adding details. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm gonna go into turn on the modeling tool. Okay, you can on and off. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm gonna go to a multi-cut. Okay, so let me quickly change up my panel layout. I'm gonna go into layout and then put it as two panels side by side. Once you select it, you'll notice that your window is now split into half vertically, or horizontally, I mean. So you guys can actually take a look at that from the perspective view. And from here, I'm gonna right space and then change it to a right view, okay, like this. Or you can just do the same thing by going to panels, orthographic, and side. You will get the same look. I'm just gonna use this two view to take a look at what's being drawn from the perspective view and also from the side view simultaneously. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is just simply have multi-cut, control, hold it. If you remember it, control while holding your control key on the keyboard and try to draw the multi-cut tool. It will Maya will try to create a full loop around the mesh. Okay. Since we have everything in quad, I don't think anything that is actually creating a complete loop around the mesh that I'm trying to draw. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put it right here, like this. Maybe just quickly turn up the wire X-ray view so it'll be easier for you guys to see. And maybe before I actually do it, that's fine. Let's just go into X-ray and just draw that. Control and just draw it. It's just somewhere around the middle, should be fine, like that. Okay. So now you can see that the new the loop has been drawn around the shape. I'm gonna press W and then control F8 or right click mouse button and come out to the object mode. And I'm going to select this cylinder and I'm just gonna quickly hide that by control H to hiding it temporarily. So I can see the full view of the mesh being drawn. Now we need to address that. We need to readjust our edge, new edge that we draw. So I'm gonna go into vertex, right mouse button and go into vertex mode. Then select this 3, push it to the middle here. Move that to there. Maybe push up a little. And try not to move up and down too much, so that will destroy the shape that I already created. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move it to the left only from the side view. So in that case, I can retain the shape that I have. And just going to draw that there. So I'm also looking at the outer side first. Okay. So I'm going to select this one right here and push that to the side like this. Move to the next one. Oops, sorry. This one right here. And then push it to that. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm looking at the reference pictures and just going to follow draw the line along it, following this line that we have. Okay, that's good. Now moving to the inner side. you can see that there's some area that still needs to be addressed again. So I'm going to draw that line there. This. It feels like it's kind of like, getting too close to the edge side of the edge here, but don't worry about it for now. We can adjust it later. Essentially what I'm doing is just follow the line and just create that as much as possible, like that. So this will be the inner side of the handle, and this will be the outer side. Before I actually go any further, I just want to take a look at this side here, because we adjust that, we create this round shape. It's actually not really in sync with our currently reference image. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just grab this, all of this actually. So all five vertices on the top and the back, from the back, right? Just going to push it down a little. Not too much, around this much. And then as for these three, just gonna push it down here. Okay. And the looking at this one here, I'm just gonna push it down a little further. Push it a little further back. So make sure that I'm kind of adjusting the vertex as I go. Obviously, we will still have to adjust a little more as we continue with our fine-tuning process. When we're doing fine-tuning of, we're kind of polishing out the mesh later. But for now, do your best to try to match the reference image as much as possible. Okay. Once you're good with it, I'm going to select the sphere cylinder to bring it back, Shift H. Okay. Okay, so far so good. Before I actually go any further, I noticed that there's a lot of things being added, like because we have, if you look at the mesh now, we have a long list of history, especially for this one. So maybe a good time before we go any further, delete the history to clean up anything, or at least reorganize your assets a little better, so it'll be easier to work with it. So I'm going to select this mesh, edit, delete by type, and history. Alt-Shift-D is the shortcut for deleting the history. Okay, same thing, Alt-Shift-D will delete the history. Just we are in the clean state, so we don't just trying to avoid any potential issues with the model, because if you have a long list of history without deleting them or cleaning them up, it will be bound to give you some your model will start acting it up a little and give you some unusual behavior. So it's best that you always regularly clean up your history as you creating your model. Okay. So I'm also looking at the actual reference image and how this split line is being drawn on the inner part of the handle. So if you're actually looking at it right now, it's actually, this one should be go more towards here, like this. Like this. And this one will create a line that goes all the line around there. Essentially, the split line, if you look at the reference picture, it's not like straight down, but it's actually coming down here and then connected to here with the diagonal line almost. So what I'm gonna do here is quickly make a shape adjustment like this. And I'm gonna don't bother with the inner side here. If you can do it, you can change it up for later. But essentially, what's gonna happen is we will be combining all the mesh into one by using a Boolean operation, which will make all these the intersecting mesh become almost non-use anymore. You don't have to worry about the inside, because this will be essentially taken out after you Boolean it. So okay, that looks good. Now next one I'm going to do, I'm going to just select this two mesh here like this directly, and then Control G. If you do Control G or go into Edit and then Group Node, okay, we're just gonna group it out. So we have these two objects here. I know that this is the two objects that I need. I'm looking at the all the other group node. If I just open it up, they have some mesh there, some transform. If you see something like that, shape here, this is almost like unused the information node that just kind of left behind after you delete the history. So you don't really need that anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just select all three and then delete to take it out. This is unnecessary. I think just simple duplicate of the default camera. I don't need to have that, so I'm going to delete that. You guys probably don't have that anyway, so it doesn't matter. And just going to push that up there. But then I can just put everything with the rest of the camera. Okay, that's good. I'm going to name this as a PS2 controller GRP. And I'm going to go into File and then save the file. So it will be February 8th and version 1. Alright, so that's good. So we got that controller set up and along with the everything set up properly like this. So next thing we are going to do is, we actually had the body before. We had that before here, right? We made it before and we actually separate that from the handle, right? If you remember it correctly from the previous lesson, that we actually hid the main body part. I'm thinking we just don't need it. That's why I just delete everything except these two. So I just want to make a new one from the scratch. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to make a new polygon cube. So what I'm going to do is go into poly modeling tab on here, on the modeling shell here, and then click on simple cube like that. So now we have the new cube being created. And I'm just gonna, before I do anything with this cube, I'm just gonna go to the channel box and click on input at polycube 2, setting from the input. And you see those preset that you can actually make a change. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna go into subdivision width and change it to 2. What it's gonna do is it's gonna create a split line in the middle. Okay. Because once again that we will be doing a work on the one side and mirror copy to the other side. So I just create the split line so I can just safely work on the one side and the mirror copy to the other side. Okay. And next thing I'm going to do is I'm just gonna go into press R to scale tool and just make it bigger so I can just have that thing fit into the front part on top and bottom, just essentially matching the height. Okay, once you get the I got the bottom one kind of lined up properly, I'm just gonna go into select the cube and right click, go to the vertex mode, click on select all these upper vertex like this. And press W and just push it up. Okay. If any of you seeing this camera being shown up on the viewport, this is just essentially just a default camera kind of showing up here. So what I'm gonna suggest you to do is just select all of that from the outliner and Control H to hide it. It doesn't really matter, it's still there anyway. So it's just I just don't want to see that thing kind of floating in there, kind of in my way. So I decide to kind of hide it. Next thing you do is go into face mode, and I'm just gonna actually going to yeah, let's go to face mode because I don't need this side now. So I'm just gonna select all of that and just delete it. So you're left to be the one side only. Okay. And then I'm gonna go into the right vertex mode. Select all of the vertex on the side, on the left side, and just push it to there. So you can just match it up. Okay. Now it actually looks pretty good from the front side. You can see we all match it up, but as you can see, our thickness or depth is not really apart. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move that right space button and move to top view, and just take a look at that here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select all of that on the back and push it to the back like this. And then select the one on the front and then push it down, push it up, or push it back. So you kind of match it up like this. Okay. So now you can see the basic shape has been rescaled, and then matching it properly to our liking. Okay. Now you can see that there are some details on the body from the top view. So I want to create that as you can see, it has some angles. So it's not like straight cube that you see on here on the top part of the controller. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create some additional edge loop around here. So let's just go to click on the modeling tool again, and then turn on multi-cut. Okay. And then control, hold it, and draw the one middle line around here. You let go. You made the new edge loop around it. And I'm gonna make another one right here before you start kind of going in here. I'm gonna do the same thing here. Create another one right here, and create another one right here. So essentially we just made the 4 edge loop. 1, 2, 3, 4. Not exactly loop because it's cut up here, but you can see that it's also drawn on the bottom, because essentially this is what's being drawn here. Okay. And as you can see, we have a bit of the angle here, so you may have to do a bit of eyeballing to make it work. This line here in the middle is kind of nicely aligned with the one that we already drawn here, so I don't have to worry too much about it. So I'm gonna just kind of push it right here. Okay. And let's select the one, the edge value on the front, on top. Select this one, and just kind of push it down a little bit, around this much. Should be good. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to select this one and just push down a little bit, and select the other one in the end and just push way down to almost to this level. So I'm just looking at this line here, trying to match it up. Maybe I'm going to have this one to come down to meet this line here. So I'm just kind of preparing the reshaping it to, in case that what we're going to do is we'll be using Boolean operation to combining all the mesh together. So we're kind of preparing the topology, kind of matching up nicely. I mean, you don't have to do it, but it's going to make things a lot simpler and easier for you if you do it. And also going down to the bottom area, I'm going to select this one here, and then push it up to kind of align with the this cylinder shape here. So if you look at the Run right here. It's kind of align with this one. And select this one. And just kind of make the straight line like this. And lastly, I'm going to select this one right here. And maybe just push it up like this. Okay. So that will be the main part, the front part of the main body of the controller. That should be enough for now. What I'm going to do here now is I'm just going to select this handle and then temporarily hide that by Control H. So you are left with this cylinder shape and then middle body here. Okay, I see some thing that's popping up there, so maybe it's better that I kind of push it a little inside a little more. I'll select this one here. I'm trying to avoid that any types of additional edge being added here, so I'm just gonna push it slightly so it kind of goes in just a little bit. Okay, that's good. Now, what we are going to do here is we're gonna use a Boolean operation to combine these meshes. Now, we talked about briefly about a Boolean operation. What is a union? What is intersection? And what is the substitutes? So if you actually go in there, Boolean, there's just three of them: union, difference, and intersection. Make sure if you're not so familiar with this tool, make sure you go back to the previous lesson last week, where we actually talked about this Boolean tool. It's very important for you guys to understand how to use it. I mean, it's not complicating at all to use it, but definitely will help you quite a bit. Okay. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna select this big cylinder shape and shift select our main body like this, and then go into mesh, Boolean, and union. Once you do it, you can see that all of the mesh that was previously overlapping with each other and they're inside, they're all gone, and it's just might just kind of cut out and do its best to create a new topology for the new mesh. Obviously, this is not a good. Obviously, we need quite a bit of work to kind of fix it up. Once you are good with this one, I'm gonna bring back my PS2 controller handle. Okay, and then I'm gonna select the handle and shift select the new mesh that we just combined, and then go into the mesh, Boolean, and the unions again to combine them together. Okay, so now this is what we get. Now everything is in a single mesh. However, this is not a workable stage at this point, mainly because of, as you can see, if you look at one of the examples here, as you can see, it's made up of what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different edges, which means this is essentially n-gon polygon, and something that we talked about earlier. But this is something that you guys need to fix it up. Make it into quad or triangle at least, because the n-gon will most likely give you a lot of trouble for this. Okay, and not a good a way to model any 3D object, because you will be running into a lot of problem with rigging, modeling, lighting and texturing and things like that. So it's best to avoid that. So we need to fix that up. This is pretty much a lot of fixing and reworking the topology. So it's very important for you to be very familiar with the modeling tool at this point. So let me quickly, before we actually go further and then start to working on this, let me quickly go over a couple of things. Let me first save the file. I'll make a new scene. So what I'm gonna do here, I'm quickly show you the quick process of using a Boolean operation and how to fixing up the topology. So I'm gonna start with something very simple. So I'm gonna start with this cylinder. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rotate to 90 degree, maybe increase the height. Okay, maybe keep that as it is. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna duplicate that cylinder by Control D, push it up, rotate down to rotate to 90 degree in Y-axis, and then I'm gonna push it down to have that mesh to intersecting with each other, like this. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm gonna select this mesh and shift select this other mesh, and then going to mesh, blend, and difference. What happened once you do it, it's actually subtracting out any object that is intersecting with this main cylinder here. It looks okay, but the problem is once you actually put 3, we press 3 here, you can see that your mesh is completely broken. This is essentially happening because it's all these n-gons being created. So if you go in there, you see that all the vertex kind of floating there, kind of nowhere. If you look at it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 edge. So this is essentially n-gon, just a whole chunk of that, right? This two, this one is n-gon as well. So we need to fix that up too, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna quickly select this mesh inside here, like this, and delete it to make a hole, like that. And then go into vertex, and we need to actually fix that up. Either you merge the vertex or remove if anything unnecessary vertex to do your best to try to make it into everything into quad, right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to turn on the modeling tool and then click on target weld. We use that briefly, but you're going to use that quite often for this exercise. Open it. Make sure you are in the vertex mode, right? Vertex. Then turn on the enable target weld, and then just go in there and start to adjusting your vertex. If you drag one and you can merge it together with the other one, essentially removing any unnecessary vertex. This you see it here. I'm gonna push it down there. Same thing. You don't need that one, right? Or you can merge it here. Yep. Merge it to there. Right. Now, you have a huge connection that's kind of missing here too, right? You see that 1, 2, 3, 4, but essentially this whole thing is n-gon right here. So we need to fix that up part. How are you fixing it? Easy as simply using a multicut to draw the new line and then just connecting them. So I can draw one. Make sure you press enter to finalize your multicut. Now you can see that what I'm doing here is just essentially drawing out the additional edge loop and connect it to the other side. Oops. I'm gonna draw that one down there. And then draw another one, press enter. So this is essentially the process of fixing up your topology, right? To make everything in a clean state. I know this can be a little tedious process, but this is a necessary process for any types of modeling artist to it's fairly technical, but you do have to go through that process and just have to get familiar with the whole thing. So in terms of cleaning it up, if you have a very large line, I just straighten it up with the scale tool. Scale tool, just squeeze it in, and like this. Oops, there's the additional vertex. I'm just gonna delete it. Okay. So it looks like everything is in kind of quad fashion right now. So you can see, once you press 3 here, you will see that the mesh is holding up fairly nicely. You see some of the thing kind of stretching it out. That's bound to happen. So what you can do is I'm gonna double click on it to select all of the edge there, and Control E, and just kind of extrude it in. Oops. There are just some vertex there. I noticed it. So you have to be a little careful because these are vertex sometimes kind of hidden. Maybe a little tricky to find it. Okay. Double click, extrude, push it in. Oh, there's one more there too. Oh, I just keep making mistake here. So right here, you can just delete it. And I think this time it's gonna work. Yes. Oh no, there's one more. Yep. Sometimes just vertex doesn't want to delete. So in that case, I'm gonna use target whale to just simply merge that into here. Yep. And once again, I'm gonna try one more time. So see that all the edge is being selected here. I can just do a extrude again. Something like that. Okay. So you notice that some of the face looks black here because it's largely sometimes just such a habit. So you can also it's largely because of the direction of the polygon is reversed here. So if you happen something like that happens, you can simply select those area that in fact impacted, go to mesh display and reverse it. Now you're back to normal. Now if you press 3, yeah, it's just doing something. Not exactly. I'm gonna edit delete by type in history and just clean it up. Yeah. Anyway, so something like that happens, and this is how you can actually quickly fixing up your topology. Yeah. Oh, just go to display, polygons, and vertex size. So right now by default it's 3, just increase to 6 or 7, and you should be able to see it. Okay. So that's usually the process that you can actually do it. If you want to do even more, you can always use a different method to kind of boolean operation and things like that to kind of fix it up. Okay. Sometimes you can also use a bevel operation like this. So if you just double click on this one area, if you want to have the currently if you press 3 here, it looks just way too smooth here, right? So if you want to have a more harder defined shape around here, you can also use a bevel operation. What does it do? It just create this little extra edge around this here, and then if you reduce that fraction a little bit and increase the segment a little bit like this and press 3, you can see that your mesh looks a lot sharper and cleaner. Same thing can be applied to the front sides. Right here, if you press 3 here, it just looks like a really wacky looking shape here, because essentially there is a triangle and there's not enough the topology to holding the volume of the mesh. So you can do is press go into edit and just double click on it to select the whole loop of the ring, and then use a bevel operation and use that setting to reduce that a little bit, the fractions, and increase the segment like this, and this will hold the object very nicely, right? So essentially this is one way to kind of create a much harder edge around, and kind of heavily used for any types of hard surface modeling. Okay, I mean, there's many things you can do with this one, right? For example, let's say you want to create this for a different way to create one, right? I'm gonna create this poly edge here, like this. Straighten up, and let's say I want to create some additional kind of cylinder shape coming out from the side. The easiest way to do it is simply you can just select all the face that's going to be impacted by it, and then use a extrude tool to push it in like this. Okay, and what I'm gonna do, or change that to world space orientation, and then just squeeze in, same thing pretty much. And then go to mesh tool, edit mesh, and circularize it. That will create a round shape, reshape the selected face into right circular shape, and you can use that setting on here to maybe twist that, or just slightly twist it here. So I'm just gonna twist it back in this, and from here you can just select this face again, extrude it out like this, and this is what we're getting. Once again, it's fairly very smooth around this upper and here and things like that. So you can do is select this edge around the bottom side of the cylinder came out, and use a bevel, right? Then increase the segment. You can see that it's a lot sharper, right? I'm just gonna be selecting the outer shell again, bevel, reduce the fractions, and increase the segment by 1. You see that you can mesh that. The mesh is a lot sharper, and the shape is a lot more defined, right? And clear definition. This is one way to kind of fixing it up and adding additional thing, right? Using a boolean to cut out, and then you have to go through the process of cleaning up the topology. So this is a necessary step that you guys have to take, okay?